first, she saw only blue sky, no land, no water, no solid substances, only blue sky. She was floating through the air, a transparent burst of wind, with no form at all. It was a lot like when she traveled without her body, except at this point, she wasn't sure if she could get back to her body. In fact, she wasn't sure she wanted to go back, not after all she had gone through before she was here. She remembered pain, lots of it, whenever they spoke to her. The world had gone crazy before her eyes, tilting and whirling in front of her. Everything looked evil and rotten. Somehow, in the middle of all this, she left her body and found herself simply drifting along in this endless expanse of blue. It was quite peaceful, no worries, no pain. This place was nice, a little boring, but nice. All that peace was shattered suddenly by a voice calling her name. She heard someone calling to her as if from a great distance. Sara, that was familiar, that was her name. The boy calling her, he was called Thomas, she knew him well. He was trying to get through to her from somewhere outside this place. She also heard something else. The sound of shrill shrieking laughter. She had heard that laughter before. That evil little boy, or whatever he was, had gotten into her head. That's how this whole thing had started. She remembered fighting with him and reducing him to a helpless old man. Then she touched his hand, and everything went wrong. He crawled into her head and began to mess up her whole world. Then she was here, and it was all calm again. She knew he was still nearby, trying to get to her, but there was something in his way, and he could not get in. Unfortunately, the thing that was keeping him from getting to her was also keeping Thomas out. Brachus, that was his name. The evil one, he had heard Thomas call her. As the foul, shrill laughter sounded again, she could sense that he was speeding toward Thomas, intent on adding him to his list of victims. She was not about to let that happen. No. Her mind screamed. With every ounce of mind control she could muster, she sent a strong mental push toward Thomas's spirit, effectively forcing him from this place. She heard a distant angry roar from Brachus, and she was peacefully floating in blue sky again. For a long time after, there was only blue sky, until one day, she noticed a patch of land appear below her. Turning her attention to the land mass, she headed straight for it. Her insubstantial form swooped down to a tree line and went still lower to hover above a long strip of green grass. To her great surprise and delight, she looked down and found herself looking at a hand. She was sure it was hers. True, she could see straight through it, but it was more than she had seen of herself in quite some time. This had to mean something. Slowly, she lowered herself to the ground on feet that she could also see through and began to walk along the grass, heading into a deeply wooded area. Her spirits rose as she walked for miles underneath the tall trees. It was all very beautiful. The trees were all large and healthy looking, with leaves that were incredibly green. The grass grew plentifully, even on the ground underneath the trees. It too was an amazingly bright green color. Flowers bloomed all along the path as she strolled casually through the ever-growing forest. Unseen birds chirped from somewhere high up in the trees, and a warm breeze blew in to stir the leaves, making a rustling sound. As she walked, she had this feeling that she was not alone. There was a presence with her, a warm, comforting presence that made her want to reach out and make contact with it. She felt a strong sense of loss, and without thinking about it, she whispered, "I miss you too." With a bemused smile, she stopped walking and waited for the reply she was sure would come. There was nothing. The presence had suddenly withdrawn. It was gone. She wanted to reach out and bring him back, but mocking laughter in the background stopped her from making an attempt.